All right, I think we're here. Hello, everybody. So we are here today to kind of go over the project. We're in week 12 now, which means you basically have gone through most of the design process. Now it's final iterations, checking out whether you've actually met your requirements or not, and really just pushing through to the end, writing that final report. So that being said, we didn't get any questions on the forum. As of right now, I don't think we have anybody online. So Chris is shaking his head no. So really, we're going to probably make this quick unless we get some more viewers on here. So hopefully you're joining us a little bit late and you can ask some good questions. One of the things that we wanted to talk about a little bit was the aircraft design. One thing that is probably maybe something that you experienced as you were using some of the simulators early on is the fact that if you change one thing, a lot of the other things may change. So as you're going through this, you may have realized, oh, I need to carry an extra 1,000 pounds worth of stuff. Well, that has an impact on everything that you design, from the size of the aircraft just to hold all that stuff, which also adds weight. But also that weight itself means I have to generate more lift, which means I need bigger wings, and maybe could mean that I need bigger engines as well. So remember that we have 3 different simulators that you're going to have to use. Okay, one's the overall aircraft simulator with all those different parameters. That's where you choose which engines you want to use, all that kind of thing. And it's also where you get your final performance metrics. Those final performance metrics will help you judge how well you've met your criteria and make sure that you've met all of your requirements. So that's the main one that you're using. But to get those numbers, remember that we also have the wing design, which means the one that designs the airfoil shape, how long or what the span is, all of those things. And that will affect lift and those kinds of things as well. But also we have the wing bending simulator, so you need to make sure your wings don't break. So if you change your wing design, then you have to make sure that they don't break again. And then also when you're doing all of this, you want to keep in mind that your stakeholders are still in the mix here. So as you're doing this, yes, you have to make it work, but how can you make it work in a way that would create value for your customers? So again, we're kind of wrapping up that design phase, but there's still time to iterate. And so while you're presenting some of your final ideas, do make sure that you're focusing on your customer, that you're looking at what was the problem that I originally tried to solve, and then ultimately what's the best way to solve it.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully this week is where that true final vision comes through. And so for your project memo this week, we want you to do the final concept of the drawing. And this can be through some of the CAD software we taught you, or just through orthographic drawing measures that you learned back in week 8, to showcase the final view of not only the outside, but some of the interior views. So you can do this through totally different ways of renderings, through some of CAD software. If you want to make a physical prototype through Legos or through paper mache, you can build an actual physical prototype for it and take some pictures. That might be really fun for everyone to look at. But what we want to see here is not only the technology of some of the different techniques that you've learned through your toolbox, but we want to make sure that you're hitting the physical aspects of the requirements for the design, as well as then showcasing us how the interior and the human-centered aspect is going to work in conjunction with that. So this drawing needs to definitely be able to show us the shape, show us the sizing, show us the structure of the plane, the depth of the plane, and then we can go inside of the plane to see where are people going to sit, if there's people in there, or animals, or cargo, or how is it going to be released, how do people get in and out from this aircraft, so that we can kind of see the full vision. So this week's project memo, then you'll be able to turn it in on our normal date, which is, I think, Friday at 0700 UTC. So we can turn that in and then get one final feedback from some of the classmates of anything that they think that maybe you missed. And this can be also where you talk about your automation design. It's hard to show that in a picture, but you can be able to maybe point out and give a little bit of a legend of where different sensors would go that would automate different features that you've designed the last 2 weeks for that subsystem as well. Then this week, it's all about that iteration. So that's why we wanted to give you a lot of time to do that. We didn't really talk about much else besides a little bit of troubleshooting and how to go about compiling this design together, because we know it's a lot of work to put all of these last 6 weeks into 1 week. Then from here, usually when you're working as an engineer and you have this final design idea, a lot of people think, okay, that's it, and then I'm done with it, and it's up to everyone else to build it and make it work. And that's just not the case. So the next following weeks, and what we're going to finish up with this is showing you the rest of engineering, which then takes your prototype, and you've got to be able to prove it so that you have that defense and that verification that your design is going to meet the customer's needs, not only just from the functional standpoint of being able to test it out and prove to yourself that it works, but then from an economic standpoint to make sure that financially this is something that's doable and it's not going to cost us 300% of our budget to build this design that doesn't work. So we're going to talk about even more skills the next 2 weeks. So hopefully you're still going to be excited after you finish this big design, which I know is a big deal, to be able to showcase how you can test it to prove to yourself that it works, and then showcase the final, really the budget of the bill of how much money can you make off of this, how much is your company going to be able to market this for, so that we can make sure that it's a win-win for everybody, not only humanitarian efforts, but then your company's efforts as well for you as an engineer. Before then, the final week, which is going to be to showcase your final design. So in week 15, it's really going to be all about writing a large-scale, multifaceted report that is going to incorporate all of these different pieces of the subsystems that you've been designing. I don't want to encourage you to wait until week 15. We want you to start early, and that's why it feels like the last 3 weeks definitely will slow down a bit in terms of technical detail and in terms of required work, because we want you to be working on this final report for the next 3 weeks so that it doesn't seem like it's a huge surprise and it's not overwhelming. The majority of the work, you have it done now. So you can start it and start finishing out this final assignment, and this assignment is meant to be basically a giant collection of everything that you've done from the beginning of this year. So everything you've learned through the engineering design process and all of the skills you've applied to this toolbox, that's going to be encapsulated into one final report through the use of whether it be text explanation that you're being able to describe, or appendices of artifacts that you're going to be able to add in at the end. You'll be able to bring that to, like, let's say an interview or out to meet other employers and showcase, look at what I'm able to do, and look at this giant amount of work that I was able to come up with, not knowing maybe very much about engineering at the beginning. So once you even go through some of your classes at college and you start learning more technical skills, you're going to be able to build even so much more, and on top of what you already know how to do now, just by going through the regular problem solving process.
Yeah, I mean, those portfolios that you've been creating throughout, these really are documenting the skills that you're gaining in this class. And so we hope that you do treat that as something valuable, because it really is a great way of encompassing your entire skill set. And hopefully you'll be able to share that with other people who might want to gain that same insight and join us in future semesters here as well. Also, we wanted to do this slide video to let you know that, you're not alone in this class. We still have those weekly discussion boards with the question and answer. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have. This could also be a great place to post things that you just want more feedback from your classmates. We have students from all over the world who are experiencing maybe a problem in a way that might gain insight for you to help you solve your problem better. There even may be some students who have gone through some of these disasters in different scenarios around the world. Maybe you could get their insights to figure out what would be valuable, not just from this fictional client, but from real people who have gone through this. So hopefully you can leverage that. This is a class that's really meant to be practical, that's really meant to help each other out as we're going through this, kind of building a team atmosphere. And one way that you can do that, it really is to ask questions on those discussion boards. Like I said, we're here, we want to help you out. We're looking at those discussion boards every day. We're happy to respond, but also you as students can answer each other's questions and kind of build out the questions of others. I've already seen that a little bit. So some of the questions, you guys get to it before we do, and you've been giving some great answers. So feel free to continue to ask and answer those questions. How are we doing?
No questions?
No questions.
All right. Well, seems to be the par for the weeks lately. We haven't been seeing much activity from people, and we hope that it's just because you're busy working, because we really put a lot of effort into this and hope that you're enjoying it as much as we enjoyed getting to build this different project for you. But don't be a stranger on the discussion boards. If you just want to showcase your design just to let people see it without just doing the peer assessment, then just show us what you got. We want to be able to see it and share what everybody was able to do, thinking all the way back to the first week of the paper tower, how we were getting so many people involved in submissions. That's really what the environment we still want you to have when you leave here, is to be able to now look at anything, look at any challenge of a problem and be able to tackle it with as little information as you need, because you don't have to be a master of everything. You just have to be a master of what's the process I should go through to figure this out.
Yeah. Again, we know that it takes a lot of work to go through this design process. We've tried to encompass that within this class. And as Ali said, you've gone through most of the work already for this final project. So now it's really just time to document it, verify that you've met all the requirements, and then showcase what you've done in the final report.
We believe we're going to have one more YouTube live session right before the final exam, just to say goodbye and talk about what we're going to be reviewing to be expecting for on that final exam for those that are going to be taking it. So be prepared for that towards the end of November and early December. And we'll see you guys later on, I guess, later this month.
Yep. Have fun in the course.
All right. Happy Halloween to anyone in America. I hope you have a safe Halloween tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.